Pastor Josh Howerton gives 10 reasons why Jesus is coming back soon, and he uses Bible prophecy to back it up. It's fascinating stuff. If you haven't heard this, you're going to enjoy this video. Let's get straight into it. Before we get into the video, if you're new here or if you've been enjoying the content, please consider subscribing to the channel. Thank you.
Number one, by the way, the 10th one is the one that's going to blow your mind. I save the best for last.
That's great.
All right, number one, Daniel chapter 12. Daniel is an eschatological book talking about the end times, especially the back half of Daniel. And it says this, but you, Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book. In other words, what that means is the rest of this book is written in such a way that you won't be able to understand the fulfillment of these prophecies until they happen. That's what Bible scholars sometimes think that means. So shut up the words and seal the book until the time of the end. So now we're talking about the end, before the return of Christ. And it says two things. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall increase. So two things you got. You have an increase in travel, number one. I'll just point this out. For all of human history until about the 1960s, the farthest that somebody could travel in a day, at least before the invention of trains and automobiles, so actually before the 60s, so before the 1900s, was about 20 to 30 miles in a day.
Wow.
Obviously, you have railroads change that, automobiles change that. What really changed in the 1960s, commercial airlines. This is the first time in human history, literally, if I wanted to, during this podcast, I could get on my phone, I could book a flight to Australia, I could roll over there to DFW, and I could be on literally the other side of the world within 24 hours. Mm-hmm. First time in human history.
Yeah, and Elon wants to take us to Mars.
Elon,
well. Like, he literally wants
you got enough money, man.
Reusable rockets.
That's right. So number one, increase in travel. Number two, it says, and knowledge shall increase. I hit this real quick in the sermon, so I won't do this. But obviously, with the rise of artificial intelligence, the amount of knowledge available to humans is now, it is estimated, is doubling every 14 to 20 days.
It's crazy.
So increase in knowledge. We have a tsunami of knowledge. Number three, this one's going to do this one.
By the way, can I say something about that?
Please do.
I've heard somebody said that artificial intelligence is the new Tower of Babel, or Babel.
Tease it out for me.
So,
what do you mean by that?
you know, and is it Babel or Babel?
People say it different.
Okay,
People
okay.
usually say Babel.
Just covering my bases here.
You go, man.
Because in Babel, what people try to do is they try to reach the level of God, and everybody came together. And again, it's this idea of like, man, we can get there, we can know everything, we can be like God. And so with artificial intelligence, we're trying to be like, well, let's double that knowledge. And maybe we can be omniscient, know everything like God does.
Because in their day, they used a special technology for their day for building. And so it's like, hey, we've got a special technology now for building knowledge. Or
to
having
reach
that
God-like
increase.
knowledge.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. I agree with him. The Tower of Babel, it is like our AI, because back then when they built this tower, that was the peak of their technology, right? That was the most amazing thing that they could create at that time. People must have walked up to that tower or from a distance and saw it and be amazed. And in a sense, it's how we look at AI today. When we see all the things that AI is able to do, people are amazed at it, right? Because AI is the peak of our technology today, right? So how they were trying to reach the heavens in a physical form, it's similar to that with AI, where we're trying to, and people that, creators of this AI, they use that term too. They say we're trying to build a godlike computer, right? A godlike artificial intelligence that will know everything. So yeah, I agree with them on that.
Anyways.
Wow. All right. So number two, that's a historically unique thing. Number three, I'm going to read the passage, and then I'm going to pull up that digital ID video, Trinity. So this is Revelation 13, 16 through 17. Also, it causes all, both great and small, both rich and poor, both free and slave, to be marked on the right hand or the forehead. And I'm going to talk about the 666 thing here in a second, so that no one can buy or sell unless he has the mark, that is the name of the beast or the number of his name. Now, I'm going to talk about like what that actually might mean here in a second. But dude, I'm just going to point this out, man. What that's saying is there's going to be a one world. It appears. Some Bible scholars, a lot of Bible scholars would say it appears like there's going to be a one world economic system, and the economic system will be constructed in such a way so that without some kind of mark or identifying, this is a really important word, identifying feature, you won't be able to engage in commerce in that economy. All right, bro, if you didn't know this, dude, this is crazy, man. This kind of thing, I'm like, cut me open. I'm red, white, and blue, small government. That's me. This right here is a video of, this is Keir Starmer. They're trying to institute this in the EU right now, this thing called digital ID. Now, Keir Starmer has either clearly never read Revelation 13 or he read it and he's like, I'd like to be the Antichrist. So check this out.
And that is why today I am announcing this government will make a new free of charge digital ID mandatory for the right to work.
Mandatory for
by the
right
end of
to
this
work.
Parliament. Let me spell that out. You will not be able to work in the United Kingdom if you do not have digital ID. It's as simple as that.
Wow.
Bro.
Because decent, pragmatic, fair-minded people, they want us to tackle the issues that they see around them. And of course, the truth is...
All right, you can cut it.
We won't stop.
Bro.
Quoting Revelation here.
It's like someone read Revelation 13, 16, and 17 and was like, let me show you how to. So you got it right there, man. So by the way,
Yeah, this one's interesting. Also, we pretty much live in a time where everything's lined up for this beast system, right? We know in tribulations, if you're alive during the tribulations, you're not going to be able to buy, sell, or trade, right? So you're probably not going to be able to work. You're not going to be able to buy food. You're not going to be able to go out there and do, buy the things that are necessary to survive, right? To maintain your household, your living, your food, everything. And I often used to wonder what people back then used to think, because when I was younger, I used to wonder to myself, how is this going to happen, right? How is this going to happen? How are they going to know if I'm at a store buying food or at a market or whatever the case is, right? And I used to think maybe they'll shut off everyone's credit card, but then we still had cash. So how are they going to know if I'm using cash or not? But if we have this cashless society, which it looks like we're creeping up to that eventually, right? I mean, that's where we're naturally evolving to, a cashless society. Then, the only way that you'll have to purchase anything would be digital, right? Whether cards or crypto or whatever type of digital currency is out at that time. And we're pretty much at that point. It's not hard to see that now. And I bet you people back then, centuries ago, they probably wondered, like, how would this be possible? How would this be possible? And it probably puzzled them. They, just to imagine a system in place where you can't buy, sell, and trade, no matter where you're at in the world. And now, when you see how everything's playing out, not that hard to imagine, right? It's not that hard to imagine.
That's a different thing. Okay, let me do these others real quick. Number 4, the rebirth of the nation of Israel. Again, this is one that a lot of people, obviously depending on your eschatological position, but there are multiple reasons to think this is a thing. So this is Isaiah 66, 7 through 9. It says, before she goes into labor, she gives birth. Interesting, when Jesus talks about his return, he uses birth language. Romans chapter 8 talks about how creation groans with eager expectation, and it talks about labor pains. So the closer we get to the return of Christ, all this stuff that the Bible's prophesying, just like contractions, get closer and closer and closer. And then it's like, bro, it's about time.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it says, before she goes into labor, she gives birth. Before the pains come upon her, she delivers a son. Who has ever heard of such a thing? Who has ever seen such things? Now listen. Can a country be born in a day, or a nation be brought forth in a moment?
Wow.
Yet no sooner is Zion in labor than she gives birth to her children. I will not leave you childless, says the Lord. I will bring it to birth. Now, it asks the question, seemingly talking about the end, return of Christ, can a nation be born in a day? That is exactly what happened to the modern nation state of Israel on May 14th, 1948. The British mandate, there was a British mandate over Palestine, ended on that day, May 14th, 1948. On that day, I can't remember the dude's name, Israel declared its independence as a nation. By the way, Israel is the only nation state that has ever been reconstituted twice in history, that the nation was dissolved and then it was reconstituted. It's the only nation in world history that's happened twice. Okay, so they declared their independence. Then United States President Harry Truman recognized Israel as a nation on that same day. A bunch of other nations, remember this is right in the wake of the finalization of World War II, a bunch of other nations follow the United States leadership, and immediately in one day,
Yeah.
Israel became a nation again.
Wow.
All right, 1948. Let me.
Yeah, and you know what's funny? Around the same time Israel becomes a nation, again, the Dead Sea Scrolls are found, and more are found years after. So that's pretty interesting.
Number 5, the rise of false Christs and false prophets. This is Matthew 24. Jesus answered, "Watch out that nobody deceives you. For many will come in my name, claiming I am the Messiah. I will deceive many, and many false prophets will appear and deceive many people." We'll just point out, we talked about Islam significantly last week. There are a lot of world religions rising right now that are full of stories, myths, legends, demonically empowered things that essentially there are false Christs and false prophets. Number 6, let's keep going. We talked about this last week. Revelation 20 verse 4 is talking about the end of time, and it talks about the souls of the beheaded. Again, we mentioned last week, Islam throughout history has historically practiced beheading as one of the ways that it, metes out persecution upon what they call infidels. So that could be a fulfillment there. Number 7, John 16:2. Jesus says, "Indeed, the hour is coming when whoever kills you will think he is offering service to God." Again, we talked about this last week. That is a potentially referencing, religious persecution, which is massively on the rise. Number 8, this is really interesting. The whole earth needs to be able to see the same thing at the same time. Now, this is really interesting. Just track with me. So Revelation 11, again, we're broadening out to multiple eschatological positions. So just go with me if you're a theology nerd here. Revelation 11 talks about 2 witnesses, okay, that will come. Now, we don't know the identity of the 2 witnesses. Some people think it's Moses and Elijah, the law and the prophets. Some people think, do you know who? Some people think it's Enoch and Elijah.
Oh, yeah.
Because those are the 2 people
Take a note.
in the Bible that never experienced death. And obviously, the book of Hebrews says it is appointed unto man once to die. So a lot of people think the 2 witnesses, like God was like, I'm going to take you, I'm going to take you. You don't experience death yet because your day's coming. You're going to be the 2 witnesses at the end. You'll experience death then. Now, but listen, so these 2 witnesses come, and it's like they got a sword coming out of their mouth. The entire world's listening to them and hating the truth that they're speaking. Listen really close to what Revelation 11 says. "Now, when they have finished their testimony, the beast that comes up from the abyss will attack them and overpower them and kill them." Again, it's appointed once to die. Verse 8, "Their bodies will lie in the public square of the city, which is figuratively called Sodom and Egypt, where also their Lord was crucified." Almost certainly Jerusalem or outside of Jerusalem. Listen, for 3.5 days, some from every people, tribe, language, and nation will gaze on their bodies and refuse them burial. Now, for centuries, Bible scholars have been like, well, how can everybody from the whole world gaze on their bodies? Until the invention of international broadcasting in the mid-1900s. And I will also point this out, and now every person on earth is holding one of these in their hands, and with the click of a button, somebody can go on IG Live or whatever it is and be broadcasting real time from any location in the world, and you can be watching a live stream of anything, anywhere in the world. It's the first time in human history that Revelation 11 is even technologically possible to happen.
Wild.
Okay?
That's wild.
It's going to
Think about that one. Just similar to the B system, right? That everything is set in place now to have some type of system that'll stop you from purchasing, right? Selling, trading, being a part of society and being able to buy stuff. They can stop you from that. Just the same way people couldn't comprehend that back then, they probably couldn't comprehend this, right? Like, how is the whole world gonna gaze on the dead 2 witnesses, right? How could it be people from every country which that's what it means, right? People from different tribes, some people from every tribe, that's people from all countries will gaze upon their dead bodies. I mean, can you imagine if you pulled somebody out from, before we had TVs, before we had internet, before any of this, and you brought them to this time? They would look around at everything that's taken place and say, these are the times that prophecy talked about. This is what it is. We're in it right now. We don't notice it, right? Because we're so used to it. We're looking at screens all day. We're communicating with people across the world on a daily, right? In real time, live. But this is, just like I said, this is the first time in history that all these are lined up perfectly, right? So, I mean, it's hard to not see it. It's hard to say, well, it's still 100 years out or 50, who knows, right? We can't put a date on it, but everything is lining up exactly how it's supposed to. And the word of God is true, right? When God says something is going to happen, it's going to happen. And it might not make sense to us then, but it definitely will make sense later.
Wilder. I got two more.
Wait, there's more on that passage on Revelation 11. It's interesting because after it says what you just said, that they will gaze at the dead body, it says that the people there will also rejoice over them and make merry and exchange presents. And so not only will everybody see it, but they will be happy and celebrate, which is interesting because, we basically just saw that happen with the death of Charlie Kirk.
I did not think about that.
And so,
that's right.
People in this passage are rejoicing and celebrating over the death of two prophetic witnesses raised by God. This just happened like a month or two ago with Charlie Kirk, where people are literally going on social media and rejoicing and celebrating. This is Isaiah chapter 5, verse 20. Woe to those who call evil good and good evil.
And it's not to say, even if people are confused, like that we're saying Charlie Kirk was one of those two witnesses. It's to say, or the point we're trying to make here is that, because people hear like, oh, that would never happen. People would never rejoice over the death of the Christian. I'm like, it has happened throughout the last 2,000 years.
It always happens.
It always happens. This is what continues to happen. So no, I think that was the point, which is right. Like, man, no. Ultimately, people are speaking on behalf of God and they're confronting sin. When that person dies, people rejoice.
That's right.
Just what happens.
Truth sounds like hate to people who hate truth.
Exactly.
All right, number 9. This one has not been fulfilled yet, but could be very soon. The gospel has to be preached to the whole earth. Matthew 24:14, and this gospel of the kingdom will be preached in the whole world as a testimony to all nations. It says, and then the end will come. I'm not going to give anything away. We are actively right now working on a way for Lake Point to be part of the solution of that specific verse.
Wow.
Verse 10, or number 10, there has to be a mass apostasy. 2 Thessalonians says the day, talking about the return of Christ, will not come unless it says the falling away happens first. Dude, I will just point this out, and I wish I had a graph. I should have found it. Particularly in the West, if you look at where Christendom historically has been for the last 1,000 years, we are in the middle of the largest mass apostasy in church history. Mm-hmm. More people have at one time said, I'm on Team Jesus, and now they've walked away and said, I'm not on Team Jesus in the last generation than maybe ever before in human history. That's like a bunch of my friends from high school. And it specifically says, there's going to be a mass falling away right before the return of Christ. Now, can I do the mind-blowing one?
Let's go.
Bro, this legit is maybe the most mind-blowing Bible fact I've ever learned.
Before he gets into the last one, I want to make a comment on what he said about the mass falling away. I do see that. I do see a mass falling away. And if you look at the stats, I mean, it's true. The numbers don't lie, right? There's a mass falling away. A lot of people have left the church, right? A lot of people have joined other religions. A lot of people are just atheists. But I do see a revival, maybe a revival inside of the body of Christ. I see a lot of Christians waking up. I see a lot of Christians taking their walk more serious. And I feel like it's, when the Bible talks about separating the sheep from the goats, I notice that when I talk to Christians and you know, seeing all these young Christians out there evangelizing, street preaching, you know, and I didn't see that a lot growing up, right? I used to think I was, you know, a follower of Christ when I was growing up. I used to think, you know, some of my friends and cousins and family were Christians, and I look back at how we were living, and I'm like, I don't think I wasn't following Christ, you know, I wasn't. But now I feel like there's like God is refining us for a time, for these times, for these end times. You know, we're getting refined. And, you know, it's you can't sit the fence. There's no fence line, right? The devil owns that fence line. So, you know, although the lifestyle that I lived, and I'm talking about me personally, maybe a lot of you experiences a lifestyle that I lived growing up, you know, just going to church on Sundays and living in the world during the week. That lifestyle never was, you know, the lifestyle that Jesus wanted for us. But I see that now, and maybe it's just me, but I just feel like there's a refinement going on. I feel like people who are Christians are taking it more serious, right? And then you do have those lukewarm Christians who, to me, that's, you know, that's not going to get you, it's not going to get you in. It's not enough to just say, I go to church and I believe in God. You know, the devil believes in God, right? But do you follow Christ? So I see the mask falling away, like he's saying, but I also see some type of revival within the body of Christ, right? And I do see people hungry for the word and hungry to go out there and do the Lord's work and go out there and spread the word and plant those seeds to try to save as many people as we can. So, but let's let him get into this last comment.
Entire I've been waiting 6 years to get this out because it never fits in a sermon. Okay, you ready?
I'm ready.
I'm gonna blow your mind. All right,
Man.
so
okay.
check this out, dude. This is that good. All right, I need to get this in the right order. All right, so it starts right here. Jesus ascended into heaven when he was standing on, in Acts chapter 1, the Mount of Olives. Mm-hmm. And he specifically said in Acts chapter 1, he said, I'm going to come in the exact same way that I go. And there are other prophecies, I'm going to read them here in a second, that specifically make it sound like it's clear when Jesus returns and he descends, he's going to descend and stand right on top of the Mount of Olives again. All right, now, let's go a layer deeper. In Ezekiel 44, so if you're ever there on the Mount of Olives is east of the Temple Mount. So when you stand on the Mount of Olives, you're looking right over here, and it's like, bro, the Temple Mount is right there. Temple's torn down. Right now you got the Dome of the Rock, the whole Islamic things over there. But the temple was right there, okay? So, and that's where Jesus was standing, and he looked at the Temple Mount. So in Ezekiel 43, it's one of the passages that Jewish people for millennia have been like, that's a messianic prophecy. This is describing what's going to happen when the Messiah comes. Now, listen really close, bro. This is insane. Listen really close. So here's what it says. Then the man brought me back to the outer gate of the sanctuary, the one facing the east, and it was shut. Trinity, here in a second, I'm going to ask for that picture of the east gate. The Lord said to me, this gate is to remain shut. It must not be opened. No one may enter through it. I wonder why. It is to remain shut because the Lord, the God of Israel, has entered through it. And when it says has entered through it, this is prophetic foreshortening, talking about a future event as if it were in the past. So it's saying when the Messiah comes, he's going to walk right through that gate, okay, east gate. Then it says, verse 3, the prince himself, Messiah, is the only one who may sit inside the gateway to eat in the presence of the Lord. He is to enter by way of the portico of the gateway and go out the same way. So this is saying when the Messiah comes, he's going to walk right through that gate. Now, Trini, let's toss that up there. This right here is the east gate as seen from when you're standing on the Mount of Olives. That's literally what you're looking at right there, east gate right there. Now, if you look at it, you're like, where's the gate, bro? Because it's all bricked up. Let me point out two things. So when the Muslims conquered Jerusalem, they did two things because in part, they had fear of the messianic prophecies that the Messiah would come. So they did two things. Number one, if you look at the bottom of that gate, notice there's like thousands of tombs there. So in part, they put a cemetery out there because they were like, they knew the Jewish Old Testament laws that holy people weren't supposed to be around dead bodies. So they literally put them there because they were like, this Messiah is supposed to be a Jewish dude that observes all the law. He's not going to want to be around a bunch of cadavers. And then, dude, the guy's name was Sultan Suleiman. He conquered Jerusalem in 1517. Islamic guy. Had fear of the future Messiah coming and this specific prophecy, and he's the dude that bricked up the East Gate because he was going, I'm going to make sure that prophecy can never get fulfilled and the Messiah will never walk through that gate. Now, I want to say two things, bro.
Think about that. He bricked up the gate, the entrance, right? Because in our Bible, our Messiah will come back and walk through that gate. So he bricked it up. I mean, what does that tell you right there? If you're Muslim, then you don't believe, what Christians believe, right? So what's the fear then? Why? Make it make sense. Why are you blocking this up if that prophecy doesn't even exist for y'all? You get what I'm saying? So why block it up? And on top of that, if that prophecy is real and Jesus is God, which we know he is, how are some cement blocks going to stop God from walking through? I just never understood that.
Number one, that reminds me of when the Romans put Jesus in his tomb and put a big rock in front of it. And the funniest verse in the whole Bible, they go, make it as secure as you can.
I love that verse.
I think Jesus was like, I'm about to freaking show you. That rock ain't going to do nothing.
Wow.
And this is exactly what that dude did. He bricked this thing up, all right? I love
That's
this so
good.
much. Okay, now check this out. Zechariah 14:3-5. Are you ready?
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Zechariah 14:3-5. Again, messianic prophecy about the return of Christ says this. His feet shall stand upon the Mount of Olives, which faces Jerusalem on the east, and the Mount of Olives shall be split in two, from east to west, making a large valley.
This is when he comes
Half
back.
of the mountain shall move to the north, and half of it to the south. So it says when Jesus returns, he's going to come back on the Mount of Olives, and the mountain will crack in half, bro. In 1964, look this up. There's a million news stories about this. 1964, these Jewish dudes want to build a hotel on the top of the Mount of Olives. In order to do it, they've got to get a geological survey done before they build on the top of a historic mountain. When they do the geological survey, they discover that there is a fault line that runs right underneath the Mount of Olives. It is an east to west fault line that runs right from the top of the Mount of Olives right to the east gate.
Wow.
And that passage says, when Jesus returns, he'll descend on that mountain. And I think what's going to happen is the Bible talks about the earth and the heavens being shaken. I think he'll come down, trump's going to sound, and the whole earth will get shaken. That fault line will crack wide open. I think that in fulfillment of this prophecy, that whole valley will just do this. All those stones that dude put in front of that thing are going to fall right down. Yeah. And every single body they buried in front of that thing going, he's not going to want to walk through a place of dead bodies. They're all going to rise from the dead right in front of the Lord of glory. And he's going to walk right through that thing, stand on that Temple Mount and be like, where are you at now?
That's good.
That right there.
That's good.
That's amazing, bro. That's amazing.
That's so good. Look, I know this video went long. I just want to say these prophecies, they're fun. They're fun to study. They're fun to read up on. And, they're serious, right? And we don't know when Jesus is coming back. We don't know the day or the hour. It's what the Bible says. But we do know one thing's for sure. He is coming. So if you haven't got right with God, that's my prayer for you. I pray that you find Christ, that you find him to be who he is, the way, the truth, and the life, as he described himself to be. So that's my prayer for y'all. Please pray for me. I'll be praying for you. I love y'all. I'll see y'all on the next one. I'm out.